Misunderstood moments in history. Rise of the Aztec Empire. The Aztecs, one of the most iconic standard bearers of Mesoamerican history. And yet, much of what people think they know about the Aztecs is wrong. This is in large part due to the fact that the public is only really introduced to them alongside the discovery of the New World. As such, the average person stumbles upon the Aztecs just as the Europeans did, with lots of preconceptions and no awareness of their past. It is through this limited snapshot that the Aztecs have been remembered and consequently misunderstood. Today, we will be seeking to remedy this by providing proper context for the rise of the Aztecs, from their early history to the arrival of the Spaniards. The dawn of Aztec history is shrouded in mystery. Spanish chroniclers of the 16th century record that they were originally a people from a great island far to the north called Aztlan, the land of white herons. Today, historians trace their legendary homeland back to the central Mexican states of Guanajuato, Jalisco, and Michoacan, though its exact location is disputed. It is from here that a Nahuatl-speaking people, later referred to as the Aztecs, began to migrate towards central Mexico. According to their mythology, this exodus was part of a celestial command to abandon the 7 caves of Chichimeca and emerge into the light to explore the world. From these 7 caves came 7 tribes. However, not all groups left together, and it was apparently some 300 years before the last tribe, the Mexica, began their journey. It is their story which we shall be following today. At the time, many similar migrations were taking place over the course of the 10th to 12th centuries AD, driven on by environmental and societal pressures. For several decades, these semi-nomadic groups wandered across the lands, passing down a rich oral history of their journey. Along the way, the Mexica were supposedly guided by Ixlilxochitl, later identified as the god of war, who favored them above all others. As they traveled, they would rest for periods of 10 to 20 years, founding small towns before moving on again. These travels were filled with many trials and tribulations, which included starvation, rebellion, warfare, magical curses, and celestial destruction. But a dogged perseverance would see the Mexica through. They were a people on a mission. Eventually, the many migrating groups would begin to filter into the Valley of Mexico. The Mexica were amongst the last to arrive in 1285. By now, most of the land was already claimed by one people or another. The Mexica attempted to occupy territory, but were continuously forced to move on. Eventually, they managed to settle and fortify a place called Chapultepec, the Hill of Grasshoppers. However, tensions with their neighbors rose, and in response, the Mexica elected a warrior as their leader, thus marking their evolution into a militarily aggressive society. According to the Spanish chronicler Diego Duran, within 15 years, quote, a conspiracy was formed amongst the cities and neighboring towns, so that all together they would surround the Aztecs and annihilate them, not leaving one person alive. Yet thanks to a warning from their god, the Mexica actually managed to ambush the enemy army and catch the ringleader Copil. According to legend, his heart was cut out and thrown into Lake Texcoco at the behest of Ixlilxochitl. It is said that where it landed would be the future site of the capital, Tenochtitlan, in later-day Mexico City. Meanwhile, the rest of the captured warriors were ritualistically sacrificed. Unsurprisingly, this did little to temper hostilities, and bitter fighting continued with such intensity that apparently even the Mexica women and children were forced to bear arms. Eventually, despite fighting bravely, their outnumbered tribe was forced to abandon the area. Luckily, the Lord of Culhuacan allowed these refugees to settle in his territories. Unfortunately though, they were given the land of Tizapan, a wilderness full of vipers and poisonous snakes. The Mexica took this in stride. According to Diego Duran, they became so accustomed to catching and eating these foul beasts that it soon became rare to even see one. Over time, the land became more habitable. The Mexica took up agriculture, trade, and even began to intermingle with their neighbors through marriage and alliances. Thus tranquility prevailed, and within several decades the tribe had recovered its strength. However, the god of war became impatient with this lifestyle and proclaimed that it was time for the Mexica to take up arms in pursuit of their destiny. Accordingly, a plan was devised by his faithful servants. an emissary was sent to the Lord of Culhuacan to ask for the hand of his young daughter as the new queen of the Mexica and bride to Ixlilxochitl. When this request was granted, they brought her back home before summoning her father to a great feast. During the celebrations, the Lord of Culhuacan was invited to lay offerings inside the temple, but as he approached with the light of burning incense, he unveiled a most horrible sight. A Mexica priest wearing the flayed skin of his daughter. She had been ritualistically killed as a sacrificial offering to the god Ixlilxochitl, who now had his war. Seeing this, the Lord of Culhuacan flew into a rage. Vowing to utterly destroy these wicked subjects, he summoned his armies for an immediate attack. The fighting was fierce, and the Mexica were ultimately driven into the lake, where they managed to escape on hastily constructed rafts. They then hid themselves amongst the reeds on the far side of the waters. It is here, amidst the scene of great suffering and desperation, that their god, Ixlilxochitl, finally announced that they were ready to go to the Promised Land.
So I hope you appreciated this short form look into Invicta content. Now if you want to see our full length documentaries, you can head on over to the main channel, and either way, I'll see you in the next one.